You knew you were a star when you came here.
Yeah,
Just the way you have developed every year is just unheard of. Every year, every year.
yeah. Most players don't really love basketball. They just do it just because they can jump high or shoot the ball very well or tall. So, but it's been like that way since high school. You know, just every single year you got to find ways to get better and come back, you know, with something different, something new. Game changer.
I think what a lot of people forget about James Harden is he's a guy that wasn't born with all of the physical tools or gifts that a lot of the other NBA players were born with. He wasn't born the fastest, he wasn't born the strongest. He's plenty tall now, but he wasn't the strongest, the fastest, wasn't the best shooter, wasn't the highest jumper. He didn't have any of that going for him. James Harden growing up was the out-of-shape kid with asthma that liked basketball and wanted to play basketball, so he kept playing basketball. At least that's what I see when I look at James Harden. Someone who worked really hard and used what he had, which was his wits, obviously, and his cunning, to get to the top, to get to where he wanted to be. And the only reason he was able to do that was because of his love for basketball. If he didn't truly love the game, he wouldn't be in the NBA right now. Once again, because he wasn't the natural athlete. He wasn't the guy who was just born being able to shoot. He wasn't Steph Curry with the 40-inch vertical. Even when he came into the league, no one really saw James Harden becoming quite this good. If OKC thought he was going to be this good, there's no way that they would have traded him. And I think that's why James Harden had a lot of pride in that interview. If you're watching James Harden talk, he was trying to hold back a smile when the guy was talking about his achievements and what he's done. You can tell that James Harden really liked the reporter bringing up that as opposed to all of the other mundane questions that he gets asked after every single game. If you have to think about it, these NBA players get asked the same questions a lot. How did you feel you did? How did the team do? What can you do differently this time? Tell us about what's going on. They get asked the same question over and over and over again, and most likely in the same day, just phrased in different ways. So James Harden being asked this, you could tell that it was something new and something that he enjoyed talking about and something that he takes pride in. He takes pride in who he is as a basketball player because of how hard he had to work to become who he was. Like that reporter said, James Harden has come back every single year, even after he became a star, even better. And that's not something you see a lot of players do. A lot of players, once they get to a certain level, they might settle. Once they become an all-star, they might not try to achieve anything higher than an all-star level player because they feel like they made it to the top. They're able to do this much. Why should they have to get better? Or just something else. Maybe they're not as passionate about the game as James Harden is. So the fact that James Harden is as good as he is a testament to how much he does love this game. Because like he said, there are a bunch of other players in the league who were just talented enough or physically gifted enough, special enough, where they didn't really have to do much to get into the NBA. And they didn't have to do as much as a player like James Harden had to do to get into the NBA. Now, we all know what players he could be throwing some shade at. There's certain players out there that are definitely some of the most physically gifted players that this league has ever seen. Some of the most talented, raw, talented players that this league has ever seen. But once they got to a certain level, no matter how much money they're currently getting paid, they kind of, never try to truly get better because they don't have that passion for the game and they don't love it as much as a player like James Harden. And that's not to bag on those other players, by the way, because there's nothing wrong with being in the NBA because you wanted the paycheck. For some of these players, this was their way out. This was their family's way out. What were they supposed to do? Say, you know what? No, I don't want to play basketball because it's not what I want to do. When they were physically gifted to play basketball, when it would be easy for them to do what they had to do to get out of the situation they were in or help out their family or something like that. There's a lot of players in the league that I'm sure are like that. And they just don't have the passion for the game. They might enjoy playing it, but they don't love it enough to dedicate their time to it like James Harden or the other top tier players in the league. Anyways, that's what I think about James Harden saying that. Turned into a little bit of a rant thing there, so